Anniversaries had become strangely performative. Not unhappy, not joyful, just carefully managed evenings where everyone played their assigned roles. My husband, gracious but faintly superior. His mother, observant and subtly critical. Me, smoothing edges that no one else acknowledged were sharp. When the doorbell rang, my first emotion wasn't curiosity. It was tension. My mother rarely visited unannounced. She respected schedules, etiquette, invisible lines. Which is why, when I opened the door and saw her standing there, holding a neatly wrapped gift bag, something inside me tightened. She smiled warmly. "Happy anniversary." Before I could answer, my husband's voice drifted from the dining area. "Whoa, your mom's here too." There was laughter in his tone. Not kind laughter. The kind that prepares the room for amusement at someone else's expense. He appeared beside me, wineglass still in hand, eyebrows raised in theatrical surprise. "Well," he said, looking directly at her, "let me guess." A pause. "She came to beg for money again." The words landed with a dull, familiar heaviness. Not shock, recognition. My body reacted before my mind did, shoulders tensing, breath shortening, that small internal collapse I had learned to disguise over the years. The humiliation wasn't new, only the audience varied. My mother didn't flinch. That was the first unusual thing. She didn't stiffen, didn't smile awkwardly, didn't attempt polite deflection. She simply stepped inside, movements calm, deliberate, almost measured. Behind us, my mother-in-law made a faint sound of approval, not agreement exactly, but the satisfied exhale of someone whose worldview had just been validated. I felt heat rise in my face. "Daniel," I said quietly, "that's not." But my mother gently touched my arm. A subtle interruption. "I'm not here for money," she said. Her voice was even, unhurried, entirely free of defensiveness. "I'm here, son-in-law," she continued, meeting his gaze with unsettling steadiness, "to kick every last leech out of my apartment." The room went still. Not dramatically, but completely. My husband blinked, the confidence in his posture hesitating just slightly. "Excuse me," he said, laughing again, though this time the sound lacked conviction. My mother set the gift bag on the table. "I think," she said calmly, "there has been a misunderstanding about ownership." My mother-in-law straightened. "This is their apartment." "No," my mother replied gently, "it isn't. Silence has textures. There is the polite silence of uncertainty. And then there is the heavier kind, the one that arrives when reality begins rearranging itself faster than people can process." My husband's expression shifted. Confusion first, then irritation. "What exactly are you talking about?" My mother reached into her handbag. No theatrics, no flourish, just a simple folder placed carefully beside the cake. "I bought this apartment 5 years ago." I stopped breathing. Not metaphorically. Physically. My mind scrambled backward through memory, conversations about rent, vague explanations about financing, the quiet assurances my husband had always provided whenever I asked questions that somehow never felt fully answered. "We've been paying," he began. My mother said softly. "You haven't?" My mother-in-law stood abruptly. "This is ridiculous." But her voice had changed. The certainty drained, replaced by something thinner, more brittle. My mother slid the documents forward. "Your son-in-law arranged everything," she said, her tone absent of accusation, which somehow made it more devastating. "He insisted we keep it private. Said it would make things simpler." I looked at my husband. Really looked. And for the first time, I saw not authority, not confidence, but calculation exposed too suddenly to reorganize itself. "You told her?" he asked, his voice tight. "I didn't need to." My mother replied. She asked. That was the second unusual thing. I had asked many times, questions about finances, about stability, about why certain responsibilities seemed permanently mine while certain privileges remained mysteriously his. Answers had always come wrapped in affection, reassurance, mild condescension. Now those answers dissolved quietly in the space between us. "I'll give you both some time," my mother said. Her words were gentle, but procedural, final. The knock came before anyone could respond. firm, professional. A property enforcement officer stood outside, posture neutral, expression composed in that unmistakable way of someone performing a function rather than entering a conflict. "Good evening," he said, my husband's face drained of color. "This can't be happening." But it already was. The officer explained the situation with calm precision. Ownership confirmation, residency termination procedures, standard timelines. No hostility, no drama, just the quiet weight of institutional reality. My mother-in-law began speaking rapidly, words spilling over one another in rising disbelief. "There must be some mistake, Daniel, tell them." But Daniel said nothing. He stood frozen, staring at the documents as if they had rewritten the laws of physics. I closed my eyes. Not from distress, from exhaustion, because the most unsettling realization wasn't the deception. It was how natural it suddenly seemed. How many small discomforts had paved the way for this moment, how many subtle humiliations I had translated into marital friction. How many instincts I had silenced in the name of stability. When I opened my eyes, the apartment looked different. Same furniture, same walls. But stripped of its illusions, no one was celebrating anymore. No one touched the cake, and standing there, in the quiet wreckage of an anniversary that had accidentally become a reckoning, I felt something unfamiliar. Not triumph, not relief, but a slow, disorienting recalibration of reality. As if dignity, once surrendered gradually, was now returning in a form I barely recognized.